On January 2nd, 2014, adequate notice of this meeting pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act has been furnished by inclusion thereof in the annual schedule of meetings for 2014, which has been posted on the bulletin board at Borough Hall, filed with the Borough Clerk, faxed to the Our Town, the Record, the Community News, and the County Seat newspapers, and distributed all persons, if any, requesting copies of same pursuant to said act. In case of an emergency or fire alarm, you must evacuate the building by using any of the exit doors in the room. They're immediately to my right, and the double doors at the rear of the room. Occupants must exit the building by using the staircase and not the elevator. This meeting is being recorded by both video and audio and may be rebroadcast.
Everyone, please rise for the invocation and salute to the flag. Reverend Von Houston, please give the invocation.
So, right. Father God, we thank you for the opportunity to come into your presence again this evening, Lord, and I pray as your word instructs us to pray for those who rule over us. And Lord, I pray right now that your presence would be in this place. You would bless and provide for each and every one of the mayor and council members of this community, oh God, that you would bless them with wisdom and equity and justice and truth. Transparency, oh God, you would just fill this entire borough with your presence of justice and truth and equity. I pray for divine healing to come to people, Lord, that the wonders of your presence would bring the quality of life into this town, oh God, that its people deserve because of your fantastic love for each and every one of them. And I pray this in Jesus' name.
Thank you. Before we do the flag salute, we just ask that we take a moment to remember Richie Newman, who's the father of our fire chief, Gary Newman, who passed away this week. Richie was a charter member of the Knights of Columbus in town, the senior citizens group in town, and probably most of you remember him most from working at the IGA, back when it was the IGA, and the Maywood Market for many, many years. So at this moment, to remember his wife, his 3 children, his 11 grandchildren. Thank you. Flag salute. I pledge allegiance
to the flag, United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mayor Padavano.
Here.
Council members Lindenau.
Here.
Maroney.
Here.
Eisenberg.
Here.
Mesa.
Here.
Fabre.
Here.
Ballerini.
Here.
Borough Attorney Ron Rosario.
Here.
Borough Clerk Jean Pellegra is here. Borough Administrator Roberta Stern.
Here.
First item on the agenda is work session items and items on or off the agenda. Councilman Lindenau.
No.
Councilman Maroney.
No.
Councilman Eisenberg.
No.
Councilman Messer.
No.
Councilman Fabre.
No, sir.
Council President Ballerini.
Mr. Mayor, I have a couple items off the agenda that I wanted to just provide an update to the council on. First, we had the Chief of Police in to talk about a pickup truck for consideration by this council. Nothing for formal action, sir. Just wanted to remind everybody that we are prioritizing a couple of projects ahead of that to make sure that the funding is available. Specifically, the cameras. We had talked to the chief about expanding the scope of the cameras project to include the parks, the DPW, the swim club, the senior center, and the library. I asked the borough administrator if she could work with the chief to scope those requirements, as his initial proposals that he received were just 4 cameras on Pleasant Avenue. So I spoke with the BA earlier today, and she is assisting the chief in scoping that out. I think that is the priority, and we should be looking for something that we can send out to bid. That the size of the project is going to require that. Again, off the agenda, but something that we have been talking about were stop signs, and I think it's probably time that we start to get together the ordinance for the signs that we've discussed on the council. I spoke with the chief about 4-way stop signs at Golf and Romaine, Mendez and Grant, Parkway and Palmer, and he was okay with all of those locations and felt that they would provide for additional safety in terms of traffic control. So we should be good to move forward with that. The last thing, and again, this is something that the chief brought up, and I've had further conversations with him, again, for the council to consider, not for action tonight, but for action probably at our next meeting. We have a staffing situation. We have 2 officers out on injury. We have another officer going out on surgery. We have a vacancy on the police department roster with a recent retirement. I spoke to the chief first about seeing if the DEA would grant us a furlough for the officer on assignment there. So rather than do a resolution, because we always have that option, if you remember the folks that were here to vote for that assignment, the town always has the option to bring that officer back if an emergency situation should arise. And this is, pretty clearly a crisis situation in terms of manpower. But considering the fact that some of these folks that are out may be back to work sooner rather than later, I asked the chief to reach out to the DEA to see if we could get a 3-month furlough to bring Derek back. So I'll keep you posted on that, because if they don't grant that as a courtesy, then we'll probably have to take formal action to bring him back. And then the second item on the PD staffing agenda, again, with regard to the vacancy that was created last year with the retirement of Officer Lynch, the chief has agreed to begin, or has asked for permission to begin, the process of advertising and screening for candidates for the August Academy. Again, as council knows, there are a couple of different ways that we can bring a new officer onto the police department. Generally favored is the police academy. It gives the police department a chance to be very thorough in the selection process and give that person a chance to learn the ropes in Maywood. So I would, again, we're not going to put anything for action on tonight, but I just wanted to make the council aware that that's something that we'll probably look to do at our next meeting. And that is it, sir.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is proclamations, presentations. We have none. Meeting is open to the public. Anybody from the public wish to speak? Come on up.
John Brown, 41 Sterling Avenue. In the report I just heard, Mr. Ballerini, you mentioned, I may have misheard you, but you mentioned Pleasant Avenue as far as the cameras, and you mentioned the library. Is that part of the plan also? Because,
The exterior.
and the reason I'm asking is the library is looking at their own.
No, could I,
I'm sorry.
but if I might or may,
I think there's going to be a conversation between the borough and the library to see, since the library is looking at their own
Yeah.
camera system, to make sure that we're not going to be redundant in our...
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was...
yes.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. Thank you.
Yep, that's why it's in the BA's hands.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Come on.
Frederick Hams at B&B Towing. I just had a question for you. I don't see not for approval or disapproval, because I don't know what the outcome would be, but I do not see my name on the agenda. Is there a reason why?
B&B Towing was not recommended by the chief. There are some deficiencies that I guess they may have seen. That is not to say that those deficiencies might not be able to be cured and
But how would I know this if I don't get any kind of information back?
Okay, I didn't know that you didn't hear anything from the chief. The chief sends a recommendation after receiving the applications to the council, and that's how it gets to the point that it's at. Certainly make sure the chief delivers to you the report that he's delivered to us, and whatever deficiencies that he believes are there, and address them.
All right.
Thanks. Anybody else? All right. Close the meeting to the public. Approval of minutes. Looking for a motion to approve the December 10, 2013 work session and closed session minutes, and the December 19, 2013 council meeting and closed session minutes.
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. Roll call.
Lindenau? Oh, no, we're not going to...
I will abstain on both because I
Right.
was not here,
Maroney?
not officially here.
Right.
Yes.
Eisenberg?
Yes.
Messer was not on council yet either. Fabre?
Yes.
And Ballerini?
I am going to vote yes on the first, and I'm going to abstain for the second, as I was not present for the 19th.
Presentation of bills and claims and request for public comment. We have the bill list and supplemental bill list that has been presented. Is there a motion for approval or any? Motion for approval.
Second.
Roll call.
Lindenau,
Yes.
Maroni,
Yes.
Eisenberg,
Yes.
Messer,
Yes.
Sebright,
Yes.
Valerini.
Yes.
Correspondence and report of the Borough Clerk.
Okay, I just have a couple of items. The agenda was revised, which you all picked up, I believe, in your mailboxes. We have the audit, which is on for approval. I have a group affidavit that everybody must sign, which we have to submit to the state. And we've received our annual franchise fees from Cablevision and Verizon. And that's all I have.
Do you remember what those fees?
Cablevision, $85,334, Verizon, $43,495, for a total of $128,129.
As a check to the Borough Clerk.
Yes.
Borough Administrator.
Mayor, just a couple of things, just in case anybody does ask anybody on the mayor and council. We are in the midst of the rollover from the 13 budget to the 14 budget, so there...
Little mic a little closer.
Oh. So if anybody asks you why they haven't gotten paid, these checks are all done manually at this point, and hopefully will be rolled over in the next week or so, and then we'll get back on track. So this is a more limited bill list than you usually see. The most important ones, utilities and the like. But just in case anybody does ask, why didn't they get paid, more than likely that's the reason, because we're in the middle of the rollover. Secondly, the hazard mitigation...
Of course, only about vendors, not payroll.
Oh, of course.
All right.
Talking about vendors, nothing to do with payroll. Hazard mitigation grant that we applied for, we were awarded $142,080. There are a number of meetings that I've attended. In order to get that money, you have to keep going to these meetings, otherwise they throw you out. We applied for a generator at the DPW, the Senior Center, the Maywood Avenue School, and I also put in a lightning detection system at the Memorial Park and the pool. Not sure that we'll get the lightning detection system, but if all things go well and I continue to go to the meetings and give them the information they want, we should get the other 3 generators. What else? Oh, I met with Neglia today regarding, as you know, we had that emergency on Christmas Day with the sewers. We're going to be reviewing and videoing various streets in town. Our system is rather old. They're all clay pipes, and there are issues. And we can't do everything at once. It's too expensive, so we're going to try and identify sections that we have to do maybe this year, maybe next year, and each ensuing year. So we stay on top of this so we don't have emergencies like we did on Christmas Day. And I'll get back to you after that videoing is done. Saddlebrook, we do use their camera. Right now their camera's in the shop, so I'm not sure when it's going to get done. I've reached out to the town of Edgewater. They also have a very sophisticated equipment for sewer videotaping, and if they're able to give us theirs, we'll do that instead of Saddlebrook. We don't have an arrangement with them, but I'm sure they'll be accommodating if they're able to. Thank you.
Borough Attorney.
Mr. Mayor, I have a pretty lengthy report to give in closed session. I think it's going to take a while.
Okay. Overtime. Everybody's enthusiastically awaiting this report. Committee reports. Councilman Lindenau.
I have a DPW report. I spoke with Roy last week, and he gave me an overview of the storm from January 21st to 24th. They used 1,600 gallons of brine. Took them 3.5 hours to do the whole town. They also salted the whole town, which took about 2.5 hours before the snow started. During the storm, they used 91 tons of salt, and they do have 100 tons on order. 75 tons of that will be paid for from the county It's payback from the county for us taking care of the county roads. They had a problem with cars being parked on the street during a snowstorm. They said they wanted to talk to the police department about that moving forward. A couple streets where they may be a little narrow, they had a hard time plowing and weren't able to clean the streets as well as they wanted to. POs have been cut for a calcium chloride tanks to be retrofitted onto our salters, which is going to make the salt a lot more effective. It'll be a wet soil application, which works a better range of temperatures, helps hopefully get snow out of there quicker. And then we're probably going to move away from the brine system moving forward.
No.
Once we see that this works well.
No,
No?
no. Brine works under certain conditions,
Right.
and we will
Well,
keep
that
the
was what they told
brine.
me. It works on a very
Right.
specific condition.
And because of the type of weather that we've been getting and the temperatures, then the calcium chloride is the next step. But
Okay.
we will not be...
We're not going to do away with it at all?
No.
Okay.
Because, I mean, this year, we had a certain kind of storm. Next year, we might go back to the 32 degrees or 30-degree snowstorms, and the brine is fine. So we're not...
The big storm before the last big storm,
We used the brine, and it
we
was...
used the brine and it was effective.
very
Right, it
effective.
works for very...
Yeah, there's a small window. right?
It's a small, it's not that small. Everybody keeps, it's not that small. It does work. I
Okay.
mean, so we're not doing away with it.
Then I misunderstood.
We're doing, no, and probably, it was probably told to you that way, or maybe they misunderstood.
Okay.
They're two systems that work. We will continue to use both of them. We never had that before. We didn't have either one of them, and now we're using both of them. It'll be very effective for ensuing snowstorms.
If I may interrupt you, could I just ask a question while we're on that subject? Because I had heard the same thing, that they were going to be doing away with it. But what I understood, Steve, was they're not going to use it as much as they would in a situation where they know it's not going to be effective. So in that situation where it's too cold, they wouldn't even waste their time using it. That's the way it was told to me.
Well, it depends on who you're listening to, but at the end of the day, it'll be up to the person in charge of that to decide whether or not the ground temperature and the temperature that we're expecting during a storm is worthy of one of those two, you know. The brine is a wonderful thing to do to start a storm, regardless.
Regardless of the temperature.
Well, yeah, because we don't know how you know, nobody has that crystal ball as far as what the temperature's going to become. They tell you that on the TV, and then it's something else. But the point is, they're both valuable systems. We previously didn't have either one of them. Now we're going to have both, and between the two, we should have very effective snow removal in Maywood.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing that up. A couple other quick things. They have a couple of spring or future projects that they want to work on, and one of them is the dog park. They're going to put some block around the fence so that it doesn't wash out on that one side, and put pea gravel in there because it's a bit muddy now, I understand.
Yes.
Yes? Okay. I know there's numerous stumps around town that they said they also need to get to once the weather clears to grind them down. We're looking to put together a list of things that they would like replaced, and I guess that would be something that we'll have to talk about with the borough administrator, and a couple of pieces of older equipment that they feel are getting to the point where we're throwing good money after bad. But again, that would be something we will have to look at.
Unfortunately, I think that previously there was not a good rotation of equipment.
Right.
And I think things were ignored. So we have a lot of good ideas about going forward, how often, you know, tools and equipment should be replaced. So I think that will be an ongoing project.
Yes. And lastly, on parks and playgrounds, last week the mayor, Councilman Borough, and I met with the MYAA and the girls softball for input on what they felt needed attention up at the parks. I know we're looking at redoing the big baseball diamond, repairing the retaining wall at Cleveland Field, doing some improvements to the Grant Avenue field where the girls play softball. And then also the war monuments are going to need to be repaired, refurbished, and do some landscaping between the two monuments to create more of a memorial walkway between those two monuments. And that's all I have right now.
Right. Councilman Maroney.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I don't have a lot tonight. From the Maywood Recreation Department, the want to announce that the March 4th Philadelphia Flower Show is sold out at this point. And then I have a list of the schedule for the recreation/library for 2014. I'm not going to be wrong, but I'll pass it on to Patty. That is
Councilman Eisenberg.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Last Friday, I attended court with the building inspector. There were 3 cases there. One of the cases involved a house on East Pleasant that had a rooming house situation, and that seems to be getting resolved. The other 2 cases were adjourned. One of them, a house on East Hunter, where the property owner obtained counsel and asked for an adjournment to prepare for their case, and that was granted. The third case, which was somewhat upsetting because it has dragged on for quite some time.
Councilman, if I could interrupt you, I think...
And I'm not going to go into details.
Okay. I
am not going to go into details. In fact, there really are no details because it was adjourned. Basically, the defendant needed an interpreter, and that is scheduled for March 9th. The judge initially offered a date in 2 weeks, and the defendant said that they had another trial in Pennsylvania, and it was then pushed back to March 9th. But on another issue, I got to sit there and witness what happens in the courtroom, and I know that we've spoken with the clerk before about possibly arranging the schedule to accommodate the building inspector, and I know that they were somewhat resistant to that, but it's highly inefficient. The building inspector sat there for 3 hours from 9:30, actually more, 3 hours and 15 minutes, from 9:30 to 12:45. Now, the bulk of the cases are traffic cases, and generally the guilties come first, and then at the end, the not guilties are tried. And I really don't understand why they can't do all of those cases that are the guilties first, then do the guilties for the building department at the very end of the traffic guilties, and then do any cases that are tried with the building department along with the trials for the police department at the end. That way, the building inspector could be called at, maybe 10:30, 11, and he could shoot over there at the end, and he'd be there an hour or so. But to leave him sitting there for 3 hours, it's just highly inefficient.
I think we'll have a conversation with the prosecutor and make sure that that gets attended to.
And that's it. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councilman Messer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to report that the work session regular Board of Education meeting scheduled for Wednesday, January 22nd was canceled due to a weather emergency. The January meeting has been rescheduled for tomorrow, Wednesday, January 29th at 7 p.m. I'd also like to report on January 23rd, there was a school traffic safety meeting coordinated by Council President Al Ballerini. The meeting involved representatives from the Maywood School District, the Maywood Police Department, and the Mayor and Council. The purpose of this meeting was to come up with ideas to correct the traffic concerns at both the Memorial School and the Maywood Avenue School. Both the Maywood School District and the Borough of Maywood are looking into ways to improve traffic flow and to make the drop-off and pickup of the children safer at both schools. I'll be looking to schedule a meeting in the near future with the CFO and the auditor, along with all of the department heads to discuss the upcoming budget. And lastly, I'd like to report on something new. This winter has been brutal, as everybody knows, and has brought forth some extreme weather conditions that have made simple everyday tasks much harder to accomplish. With all the challenges that have presented themselves, I think we need to take a moment to recognize the outstanding job that our Borough Administrator, Roberta Stern, has done in facing the challenges that these extreme weather conditions have brought forth and by handling them with precision and professionalism. So I'd like to say very well done.
Thank you. She forgot to tell you one thing.
Is his check coming soon?
Yes, but it just, you did, Councilman Messi, you did remind me, there have been some heating issues, so I just signed a requisition today. Apparently, when the heating system was installed, the moisture drip was installed prior to the gas regulator, and it's supposed to be the other way around. And in the weather conditions that we've had a loss of heat throughout the building because the moisture drip freezes, moisture gets into the gas regulator, shuts it off. So I've just signed off on a requisition to have all 6 units repiped, so hopefully it's reversed and that won't happen anymore. Sorry, you just reminded me, I apologize.
Will that take place?
I just signed it today, and I'll just tell them to go ahead and do the work.
Okay, 'cause part of my report was that there's no heat.
Oh, sorry.
There's no heat in the... No.
Yes.
I'm glad you're addressing it. There's no heat in the fire room.
It's all part of this. It was just a piping issue,
We're here.
and...
But I don't think you need that in your report.
Okay. Sorry.
Councilman Borough.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you know, with the snow, the hydrants, they get covered up in snow, and what happens is the fire department has to go out and shovel these hydrants. So due to the snow, there were a number of hydrants that were not visible or accessible, and the volunteers in the Maywood Fire Department spent countless hours locating and clearing snow from hydrants. As a result, the fire department is asking residents to quote-unquote adopt a hydrant and clear any hydrants near their homes during and after the storm. In the event of a true fire emergency, seconds actually count, and those are seconds. So if we have to remove the snow from there, that takes away time from getting that hydrant hooked up. So removing snow and ice and other debris from the hydrants is a big help to the fire department. And along those lines, what I did was I looked up online. There are some there's at least 10, 11 towns that I was able to find in Bergen County alone that have ordinances regarding that. One of them is, I copied, it's Wyckoff, and their ordinance reads, the owners and or lessees of any real property in the township upon which a fire hydrant is located shall maintain the area within a 5-foot radius of the perimeter of such fire hydrant to ensure that such area is free of snow and or vegetation. The requirement of this section shall be completed by the responsible party no later than 12 hours after any natural obstruction, such as snow and or vegetation, shall be located within the 5-foot radius from the fire hydrant. Failure to maintain the clear 5-foot radius within the time required above shall constitute a violation. Obviously, that's just a guideline, but I really think we need to put something into our ordinance that requires the homeowner, renter, lessee to do that, because we have you have 2 engines and a truck out on the road doing this, and you have volunteers out there doing this, and to be honest, the snow is heavy, you pull your back, and when you're clearing one, it's not that much of a nuisance, but when you're clearing 20 and 30, it starts to weigh on you, and it does weigh on you. So if we could maybe do something with that and require the person who has the hydrant in front of them to clear that, it might be Please.
Well, the person whose home that hydrant may be in front of could be 80 years old or 90 years old. I think that if, in fact, we entertain something like that, it should be the responsibility of people within a certain perimeter of that hydrant who might be responsible. I'm not sure I even agree with it, but I certainly don't think it should be the person who's directly...
Right now, they are responsible to clear the sidewalks, whether it's them doing it or they get somebody else.
I understand.
So if they're 80, they're getting somebody else to do their sidewalks. So if they're getting somebody else to do their sidewalks...
You don't get the calls every day.
If they're getting somebody else to do their sidewalks, they can just ask...
I just think that it should be a little broader, and I'm not sure, I mean, I know our attorney...
This is one of the...
Right.
I'm sorry, if you say it's got to be someone on the block or whatever, then everyone's going to point the fingers. I think if it's going to be anybody, it's got to be the person whose house it is.
Well, I mean, I would prefer like 3 houses, like the one in the middle and maybe one on either side, so it gives more people a chance to be part of it. just personally, I know that if I were the person, I wouldn't necessarily want to be responsible because the fire hydrant doesn't just serve my home, it serves that area.
Well,
But-
maybe we could, with the assistance of the fire department, start and adopt a hydrant.
Right, something like that, but
situation
also,
Where we get people who reside around that area a little more enthusiastic about.
but also I think that, one of the things I'm not sure that, because I can't even think if we have them, like those lollipop things
We do.
that we have.
We do.
We do at each hydrant?
Yeah.
Oh.
So you can find them when they are covered in snow, but
I mean, it's
Well-
still gotta be put it out.
it's still every.
Well, no, I understand that, but I wasn't sure that, because I can't remember driving around and seeing them, to tell you the truth,
Quite
so I
frankly,
just...
you don't always drive around with the shovel. I mean, you should.
No, I
in
know,
the
no, but
snow,
I
but
just
it-
meant I wasn't sure we had those. If
No,
we
no,
have them,
I'm-
that's
I'm
one
changing-
identification.
I'm
Oh,
changing
okay.
on that, but I'm saying you're requiring a firefighter would normally be donning his gear, now you're asking him to shovel out snow.
Right, and I'm not suggesting
So-
that. I just don't think it should be the responsibility of one homeowner and the person whose home just happens to be right in front.
People that have a fire hydrant in front of their house, I think most of them like it, people don't park in front of their house if they have a fire hydrant. And I think it's a small price tag.
No, I'm not-
I actually shoveled yours last year.
If you would've called me, I would've done it.
In any event,
Or at least gone out there and watched you do it.
Yeah.
Took a video, took a bunch of beer.
I think if we adopt an ordinance of that nature, that we should be,
Well, I think if
Not
we
as narrow.
can get people enthusiastic and bring it
Yeah.
to their attention, that I'm sure a
Right,
lot of people are
exactly.
not thinking about it.
Exactly.
And perhaps.
it would be helpful, but not to,
I think an ordinance is in line.
Yeah, no, I
And,
just like it not to be
in
that
conjunction with
narrow.
maybe adopting the hydrant, but I do think that needs to be adopted because,
And it's also, I mean, we have Eagle Scouts, and we have other, groups in town who are, have responsibility for community service. I know we always list children in the local paper who are there for snow shoveling and babysitting, and I think it's public awareness, if we let people know that this is another way that they could earn community service, that we would get some younger people to do it.
Sure. If we advertise the potential ordinance, if there's backlash, people are going to come and speak about it, if nobody shows up.
Well,
I don't think you need to guide your ordinance as much as
No.
Put a letter out.
right, and just the same thing that we do with these other services. Exactly. It's an awareness thing, public awareness, and I mean, I certainly don't think it's up to the volunteer firefighters to do it on their own.
it is right now, that's the problem.
Yeah,
So
it's not fair.
And people aren't, there's no backlash or anything
Right.
like that. It's not that they don't want to do it.
No,
They
but
don't think
it's-
they have to do it.
Exactly.
That's-
They get up in the
so-
middle of the night to fight a fire, they shouldn't have to dig out the fire hydrant.
And quite frankly, it's a cost to the borough on gas. I mean, those trucks use a lot of gas and a lot of fuel, and while you're driving
Sure.
around the whole town, you're stopping, and it's running the whole time, it's a cost to the borough. It actually is.
Oof.
Along the lines of ordinances, since we're there, see if you like this one from Borough. We had a guest speaker the other day, the fire department did, and one of the things he discussed was having placards. It's the Maltese cross, and it'll just indicate whether it's a truss roof or whether it's lightweight construction, because a lot of these new buildings, new construction, are being built with these trusses and these beams. They showed us a video of this at the academy. They're cheap, inexpensive, and they're very strong, and they can run the whole length of the building. The only problem is they're very thin, and they're made of compressed wood, which is glue. Now, they hold a lot of weight. What they do, though, is they fail under fire. With fire, they fail quickly. And they did a test for it. They showed the video of the test. What they did was they took the beam, they took a regular 2x6 beam, and then they took this truss, and they put a cinder block on them, and they set them both on fire. And the truss failed in under 9 minutes. It just burnt, and the cinder block fell, while the other one was still going and holding up.
You're not talking about a truss, because we do have that. You're talking about a laminate beam.
Laminate beam, that's it, I'm sorry. The truss as well, I was talking
Truss,
about.
I think we have the truss placards are up on truss buildings, but because
The
of what
laminate
happened
beams.
in Hackensack.
Did we do, when we also did something with solar panels this year? Yeah, so basically I'm putting up laminate beams, a lightweight construction. Anyway, by the time it's discovered that there's a fire, by the time they call it in, and by the time there's a response, it's very likely that that beam's about to fail by the time a firefighter sets foot on that floor. So one of the things I would like to see is the new construction require just a sticker that goes on the outside with the placard that we have now, just a sticker that goes outside by the public service, by the where they have the entrance of the panel, and the firefighter will be able to see that, and they'll recognize that, hey, there's a laminate beam here, and watch it. Basically, it's a river edge. Just introduce that as an ordinance. They showed us in the video also what the placard looks like, and maybe we could look to river edge and see what they've done. I wasn't able to find that online, but that might be somewhere to look. Saturday, we were at a call, and there was a pedestrian that was struck crossing Maywood Avenue by Pleasant, and she wasn't badly hurt, but she was hurt enough where she was bleeding and she required assistance, and the person who gave the assistance was Fire Police Captain Tom Stavola. And I just wanted to recognize, when some of our volunteers, they go above what their duties are, and fire police are there to direct traffic and help with securing the fire apparatus. But at this moment, as we were driving by in the truck, I saw Tom holding this woman up, basically picking her up off the floor, off the ground, holding her. I found out later that he rendered immediate first aid to her. He put her in the fire police vehicle, and so she could stay warm, and he waited for the EMS to come.
Wow.
And I just wanted to recognize Captain Stavola for doing that.
I think the council should perhaps send a letter to Captain Stavola thanking him for that.
I have...
Yeah, Mayor, I wanted to be out there for the video.
Okay.
Thank you, Roberta. Chief Newman, the mayor mentioned the passing of his dad. I just want to give the funeral arrangements. It's going to be at Trinka Faustina Funeral Home. Visiting hours will be Wednesday, January 29th from 2 to 4 and from 7 to 9. And the funeral mass will be at Our Lady Queen of Peace Church, 9:30 a.m. on Thursday, January 30th. The burial to follow at Maywood Cemetery in Mahwah, New Jersey. I'd like to thank all the members of the fire department, fire police, and EMS that were present for the snow emergency holdover the other day, last week. We were all called in, and you have to stay there because if there's the bath of snow, you can't get to the house. So we were all on call, and I'd like to thank all the members that were doing that. I do have some stuff for closed session, and I would request of the clerk. I don't know how many other people are interested in this, but Gene, I need our packet sent home because I'm not always on the computer and I cannot read the stuff ahead of time on the phone. So I personally request that I get my packet sent to the house.
If council decided to not have them sent home, I'm sure I'll be more than happy to send them home on Fridays if that's what everybody is agreeing to.
Do it on a one-on-one.
Or if you want to do that.
Can advise Gene.
Yep, and I'll address that. I'll send it. No, I will gladly do it. Just let me know, email me, phone me, and you'll get your package home on Friday.
Rick, I just have a clarification on the theme. Are you suggesting that for residential and commercial, and is it all houses or just where there's new construction?
It would have to be new construction because I don't think,
You would know if the walls are already sold out.
That's the problem. You really don't know. There's no way of knowing. It could be voluntary where if somebody would like to put that out there, but I think for new construction going forward, I saw one on Park Ave. I'm losing my direction here, but on Park Ave, one of the newer houses, as it was being built, they tell us now if you see something being built, drive around and just look and see. And these houses had those beams going down, so that's one of them. If we can get it done on new construction and require it being done on new construction, that would be a big help. That is all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Council President Ballerini.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The meeting that Councilman Messar referred to was a joint effort with the mayor in terms of putting that on the calendar. I want to acknowledge that first. We couldn't do it without you, sir. Second of all, no, in response to that meeting...
Your check will not be coming.
Back in November, we had received from Neglia a proposal for a traffic study at Memorial School, because one of the ideas that I had just in living near the school and obviously having two kids that attended the school and quite often walking there or driving over there was maybe a permanent change in the traffic pattern north of Fairmont Avenue on Grant Avenue. And particularly either the whole stretch of Grant or that portion of Grant Avenue being designated as a one-way. And the impact that that would have obviously on the surrounding areas traffic, as well as the potential that the engineer might see for improvement in terms of movement around the school. So you have that proposal. I'm not sure if that's in your purview in terms of going forward and executing that.
I frankly don't remember it. I will look into it.
If you look at the engineer's November report,
Sure.
he brought it in for review
Okay.
at the November report. So,
Okay.
I would suggest if we need a resolution, we add that to the agenda for the next meeting. But in talking with the superintendent and talking with the chief and the mayor and Councilman Messar and Mr. Esposito from the school board, there was consensus that this is probably a good approach, rather than, even though the chief has certainly professional training in this area,
Right.
we still want to make sure that we're considering all of the impact.
All of it. I mean,
for
this
those
is
kinds of
besides
changes.
the changes we made with the parking from...
Correct, because I think it does create opportunities for more parking. I think it does create opportunities for better traffic flow, but that's just, I'm not a professional in that area, so I think
Okay.
that's something that we should move forward with. The upshot of that meeting was that, the school board's going to take action on the Maywood Avenue school property immediately, just because, and this is one of those things where I've been in this seat for a little over 2 years now, and as public safety liaison and as a parent and a resident, I've been shocked at times with what I've seen in terms of behavior, let's just call it that, of people in their cars around the schools. I mean, there are kids there. What prompted this whole thing was an actual accident. They actually had a fender bender in the school parking lot during a drop-off. It's one thing when two cars hit. When a car and a kid hit, we can't wait for that to act, and that's really what kind of brought us to sit down and figure out how we can figure this one out. But needless to say, the schools are going to take action with the traffic patterns within the school property. I think the borough needs to take a look at what we can do on the thoroughfares to see what we can do to support that. The superintendent's holding a roundtable. He wants input from parents. He wants input from residents. We don't want to go restricting traffic movement in front of people's homes if it's negatively going to impact their quality of life. So I think there's a lot more that needs to be discussed here, but I think it's important that we bring it out. We invite people to their opinion. In terms of traffic safety, Councilman Fabre mentioned the pedestrian accident. There was another pedestrian accident in front of TD Bank just before our meeting tonight. We've had residents come here and complain about pedestrian safety, to complain about traffic movements on Pleasant Avenue in terms of, just again, I'll call it bad behavior. And today I got a letter from an 8th grader writing me about the traffic in front of her house on Central Avenue. I just want to make it clear that we are listening. We're listening to whatever way folks want to communicate with us about this. Traffic safety is a priority, and as I mentioned earlier in the night, we have staffing issues at the police department. They need to be remediated, and when they are remediated, there will be no excuse. Councilman Lindenau mentioned the cars on the street during the snow removal. That's not optional. There is an ordinance that says your car must be off the street. And people need to be reminded, when a state of emergency is declared, and that's the easiest one to hear because it's all over the news, it's all over the radio, that means get your car off the street, right? You don't have to wait for another snowflake to fall. The ordinance says specifically when the streets are snow-covered, but, if anybody thinks that their judgment is better than the ordinance, they're wrong, right? It's not, I can leave my car on the street while I clear out my driveway and, oh, well, it's already there, so I'll clean it off in the street. These things are all illegal. You can't blow snow in the street. People need to be reminded that, this is a community effort when it comes to clearing the streets. People can complain that there's a half an inch of snow, finding its way to permanent residents in front of their homes, but they forget to realize that they're the ones shoveling the sidewalk and dumping that snow back into the street. So, we all have to participate in this. We all have to admire, respect the law. The borough clerk did note that 14 cars were cited. for being on the street during the snowfall, so it's good to see the police department is enforcing that. But, we will follow up with the chief. The reverse 911 system is in place. There's Nixle, which can be, signed up via your cell phone or through their website. Links off the police department website for anybody who wants to figure out how to do that. It's a great service. Sometimes you get more messages than you think you're going to get, but you don't want to miss the messages that you do need to get. So, we're going to do our part, as the mayor and council to support these efforts, but this is a community effort. You're not invisible in your car. You can't just drive any way you want to drive, blowing through stop signs and doing all that bad behavior, and then come to a council meeting and say, the streets aren't safe, right? We all have to do our part. So I'm off my soapbox. That's my report for tonight, sir. Thank you.
Okay. All right. I would like to also extend my congratulations to Fire Police Captain Stavola for his actions last Saturday. He did a great job. We appreciate his service and all the service of all the volunteers in town. The 4th of July committee is gathering. You see on the agenda tonight, the American Legion is being appointed as the head of that committee again. And I encourage all citizens to get involved. If you want to get involved in the 4th of July parade and planning of it, please contact the borough clerk and she'll steer you in the right direction on how to get involved. The more people that are involved, I think the better the parade is. We made some improvements over the past 4 or 5 years, and I think things are going well, and we're getting bigger and better parades and activities around the 4th of July. So I encourage everybody to get involved in that. I'd like to thank the DPW for their efforts during the last snowstorms, especially the most recent one. I know that the temperatures have not been terribly cooperative with the removal of the snow, and usually the following day we're benefited with a little sunshine that helps get rid of any residue, but unfortunately in the last few storms the temperature has been in the single digits, and they've done a very good job taking care of it, and I think the calcium chloride system is going to make a world of difference towards dealing with future snowstorms. The annual rabies clinic is scheduled for the 29th, tomorrow. This year it's at the Rec and Senior Center, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Licenses will be available at the rabies clinic for both your pet and for dog park permits will be also available. So I encourage everybody to get your pet's license, as the 31st I think is the deadline to do that. Is that correct, Madam Clerk?
Yes, but late fees are in charge for March 1st.
Okay.
I have to pay all fair.
Look at you.
Mr. Mayor, I may ask a question, Clerk. Will you be able to get the dog park tags there as well?
The dog park tags will be available as well.
Oh.
So please stop by and make sure your dogs and cats are vaccinated. You obviously need the rabies vaccination to be up to date for the license. Correct.
Through November of the licensing year to be licensed, yes. Well, no. Then it's not, you can't.
Other than that, we've heard about some of the improvements that are going to happen in Memorial Park this year. Looking forward to that and getting that landscaped area going by the memorials, and the field improvements will be well received. I think we're going to get some improvements down at the swim pool as well, hopefully before we open up for the season. So looking forward to that. Again, I remind everybody that this year is the 120th anniversary of the town.
Yay.
The Historical Committee will be doing a bunch of programs this year, including a lecture by the town historian, a bus tour that's probably going to take place in April, led by the town historian, and some other events that will be discussed at upcoming meetings to celebrate the wonderful history of our town. Which leads us to the historical trivia of the day. Gene Pellegra is the 14th borough clerk to sit and occupy that position. Take that to the bank.
14.
14.
Lucky 14.
In 120 years, not bad. All right, on to the next topic. Resignations. Gary DeZenzo, a member of the Clean Communities, effective January 28, 2014. Do I have a motion to accept the resignation?
Move to accept the resignation.
Is there a second? Second. Roll.
Lindenau?
Yes.
Maroni?
Yes.
Eisenberg?
Yes.
Messer?
Yes.
Debray?
Yes.
Ballerini?
Yes.
We have two appointments. Anthony Avon as probationary member of the Maywood First Aid Emergency Squad effective January 28, 2014, and Janet Hollenbeck as a member of the Maywood Historical Advisory Committee for a one-year term expiring December 31st, 2014. Do I have a motion for the appointments?
Move the appointments.
Second.
Roll call.
Lindenau?
Yes.
Baroni?
Yes.
Eisenberg?
Yes.
Messer?
Yes.
Fabre?
Yes.
Ballerini?
Yes.
Three items on for council approval. Maywood Rotary Club Foundation requesting permission to hold an off-premises 50/50 raffle at the Maywood American Legion Post 142 at 135 East Passaic Street, Maywood, on March 14, 2014 at 9 p.m. Second item is approval for the 2014 towing licenses for All Points Towing, Belfie's Towing, Rochelle Park Auto Body, and Rochelle Park Towing. Number three, for approval from the American Legion to chair the 4th of July program for 2014. Do I have a motion to accept the approval, for the approval?
Make a motion.
Second. Roll call.
Lindenau?
Yes.
Baroni?
Yes.
Eisenberg?
Yes.
Messer?
Yes.
Fabre?
Yes.
Ballerini?
Yes. Resolutions by title.
Resolution 3414, certification of the 2012 annual audit. Resolution 3514, resolution ratifying and confirming the purchase of laptop, computer, and accessories for the Maywood Police Department with funds from the DEA account. Resolution 3614, a resolution supporting the Bergen County Mutual Aid Plan and Rapid Deployment Force in the Borough of Maywood, County of Bergen, State of New Jersey. Resolution 3714, resolution authorizing a shared service agreement between the Borough of Maywood and Borough of Hasbrook Heights for the sharing of services at the Hasbrook Heights Pistol Range. Resolution 3814, a resolution ratifying and confirming repairs to the roof at the Public Works Garage. Resolution 3914, employee reimbursement of personal vehicle use. Resolution 4014, resolution granting the right to the United States Army Corps of Engineers a right-of-way with entry within the West Hunter Avenue right-of-way in the Borough of Maywood, Bergen County, New Jersey. Resolution 4114, resolution to grant to the clerk of the Borough of Maywood emergent powers to execute requisitions to purchase and purchase orders in the Borough of Maywood, Bergen County, New Jersey. Resolution 4214, resolution of support by the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Maywood authorizing the Sustainable Jersey grant application.
Just with regard to Resolution 4014, that's a resolution granting the right of the Army Corps. As you'll recall, late last year, we granted them the right to enter Grant Avenue, or the Memorial Park near Grant Avenue. I just want to report that their findings came back that they did not locate any problem in that area. So, good to hear. That's it. We have a motion for the resolutions.
Make a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Lindenau?
Yes.
Baroni?
Yes.
Eisenberg?
Yes.
Messer?
Yes.
Fabre?
Yes.
Ballerini?
Yes. We have no ordinances, any new business, any old business, miscellaneous business. We do have items on for closed session. Is there a motion to go into closed session?
I will make a motion to go into closed.
Second. Roll call.
Lindenau?
Yes.
Baroni?
Yes.
Eisenberg?
Yes.
Messer?
Yes.
Fabre?
Yes.
Ballerini?
Yes.
Being further resolved by the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Maywood pursuant to the provisions of the Open Public Meeting Act, Mayor and Council meeting closed session to discuss the following subject matters: contract negotiations and personnel. Be further resolved as precisely determined at this time. Discussion conducted in said closed sessions can be disclosed to the public upon taking final action thereon, provided disclosure not violate the attorney-client privilege. The attorney-client privilege will constitute undue invasion of privacy. Be it further resolved, the Mayor and Council of the Maywood may return to open session after this meeting.
Thank you. Okay. Hearing closed. recording.
Oh, now, it just went on now, the light went on.
All right, we're back on open session. We've come out of closed session and have a resolution, Resolution 4414, which states a resolution confirming the appointment of Donald Russell as supervisor within the Department of Public Works of the Borough of Maywood. Whereas the mayor and council have created a position of supervisor within the Department of Public Works of the Borough of Maywood, and whereas subject to council confirmation, the mayor has appointed Donald Russell to such position, and whereas mayor and council hereby ratifies and confirms the appointment of Donald Russell to the position of supervisor within the Department of Public Works of the Borough of Maywood, upon the terms and conditions of this appointment to be memorialized in a memorandum of understanding between the parties, and said agreement having been discussed among the mayor and council. Now therefore be it resolved by the mayor and council of the Borough of Maywood, Bergen County, New Jersey as follows. 1. Effective upon the adoption of this resolution, Donald Russell was hereby appointed as a full-time employee to the position of supervisor within the Department of Public Works of the Borough of Maywood at an annual salary in accordance with the current salary ordinance. Number 2, the supervisor shall perform such duties as may be in place and regulated by the mayor and council and/or the borough administrator.
And/or signed.
And/or assigned by the borough administrator. And number 3, a memorandum of understanding between the parties shall be completed as authorized by this resolution. Do we have a motion to approve that resolution?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call.
Lindenau.
Yes.
Maroni.
Yes.
Eisenberg.
Yes.
Messer.
Yes.
Fabre.
Yes.
Ballerini.
Yes.
All right. That is all. Is there any other business?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Go back into closed, talk about CBA.